Hey guys, how's it going? Crepane here. Today I want to talk about a card that is obviously not very good. Cursor Reform, not so great. But the reason I want to talk about it is because it is a pretty big trap card when it comes to Arena, and it actually has some interesting implications in Constructed. So why is it a trap card in Arena? Obviously I think this card is terrible, but I seem to actually queue up against quite a few Warlocks who use the card. And not only that, when I actually play out these games, players who watch on my my stream, they're like, "Oh, that seemed pretty good. Cursor Reform was all right in that game." I'm like, "Oh man, what are you talking about? It's not really the case at all." So why is there this difference in this perception of the strength of the card? So Cursor Reform, you play it for 2 mana, and your opponent basically takes 2 damage or more until he also pays 2 mana. And this has a striking resemblance to a card that you might not realize, and that card is Bluegill Warrior. Bluegill Warrior also does 2 damage a turn it's played. Yes, it can't go through a taunt, but on the flip side, Bluegill Warrior is a little bit better than Cursor Reform, because if your opponent is playing like a mage or something, he'll have to ping the Bluegill Warrior, and if you play Cursor Reform, he can just play a 2 health minion that would otherwise challenge the board. So Bluegill Warrior actually is a little bit better in the late game, and possibly a little bit worse, or a little bit better in the early game, but possibly a little bit worse in the late game. So it's a pretty close comparison, and you have to compare it to that. If you're playing against a mage and you're playing Warlock, would you Bluegill Warrior your opponent to the face on turn 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7? And generally you would not. Now, sometimes Cursor Reform actually does quite a bit more damage than you would expect, but generally a minion would just do the same thing, but also threaten with some kind of presence on the board. So if you play your Bluegill Warrior and you go face, if your opponent doesn't deal with it, just chooses not to, you can go face again next turn. It's very similar to the Curse, but it has the added benefit that you can actually trade if you need to, and that kind of works against some classes that don't have a 1 damage hero power. So, the very close comparison is actually pretty horrible, but it's not only that, it's that people routinely, from what I've seen, play Cursor Reform on turn 2. And I don't understand this. When I'm on the receiving end of a curse on turn 2, I usually take like 8 damage or something, but I basically win the game by doing that, because it offers 0 tempo. The curse does nothing in the current board state, and that's what's extremely important in the early stages of any game of Hearthstone these days. So if you're paying 2 mana and getting 0 benefit on the board on turn 2, you are basically throwing the game. Usually I let the curse tick like 4, 5, 6. Sometimes I just let it tick the whole game. I just don't really care. It's not that it's a 2 mana tempo. It's when people play, it's usually on turn 2 or 3. It's a 2 or 3 mana 2 mana tempo on turn 2 or 3, which is colossal. That's like a full turn. It's like skipping a turn. If that's really what you have to equate it to. Would you skip your 10th turn? No, you wouldn't, because you'd lose. Well, this basically does the same thing. Sometimes it doesn't appear that way because you have like a 1-drop and then you play the curse, but if you play a 1-drop and then just play a 2-drop, you're going to be in a much, much better spot. So yeah, that's really all it is. The card is cool. I'm really glad they printed the card, and I really love the design behind cards like these that are really bad in most scenarios, but actually kind of have some impact in the game overall as a whole. With this card existing, it's another thing that will basically keep Ice Block mages away. The Ice Block mage will never be a dominant deck like most of the Zoo and, Mysterious Challenger Paladin decks are these days, because it has a few hard counters, and Cursor Reform is one of them. If your opponent has an Ice Block up, you can play a Cursor Reform, and it can kill them at the start of their turn, and secrets do not trigger on your own turn. So it does bypass that, and that is pretty cool. I'm glad they have the card for that. And it's also pretty interesting in some situations, though we haven't really seen like the spell damage deck come up. The really cool mechanic with the curse that is given off by the Cursor Reform is that it is affected by the spell damage of the player who's repeatedly taking the damage. So for instance, if your opponent has like a Malagos on the board and you play a Curse of Rafaam, well, he'd be taking 2 plus however much spell damage he'd have, which can be a lot. So it has that aspect too, and because of that, it might actually pop up in some constructed play in the future. But overall, really cool the card exists, but it's really important that you guys understand why and just how terrible it is when it comes to Arena, because you're definitely going to lose a lot of games if you pick this card, and the clips I want to show you guys today shows exactly that. Tempo is king, and yeah, there is not much to forgive when you don't praise the tempo when it comes to Arena. So I hope you guys learned something from the clips. Hope you guys enjoy them, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Well, I get to go first this time, and going first is good because I can't get 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-dropped while going first. Shaman's pretty good in Arena. Based on what? Based on that? You know what's pretty good in Arena? Every single class that has a 1, 2, 3, 4 with synergy and goes first. Every class. It's just that to actually get a 1, 2, 3 and like synergy and all that shit at the same time and go first only happens, 1 in 20 to 1 in 40 games. Priest is terrible. Priest is terrible, but what if you have a Twilight Whelp or maybe a Zombie Chow, and maybe you can follow that up with like a double Power Word Shield? That would be pretty good. And you could follow it up with like Velens or I don't know, maybe a Spider Tank. There's things that you could do that would make it less problematic. I refuse to take 2 damage. Instead, I will take 1 damage.
You're in trouble now.
I don't think he has a card that could target that. Like, they just don't exist in Warlock. At least I don't think they do. Oh, Power of Whelm would be bad. That would be. But other than that, I think we're fine.
One shot, one kill. We have many secrets. I fight dirty.
Yeah, I would just establish a big time board control. Oh, Curse doesn't get affected by his spell damage. I'm the one taking the damage. If I played Malagos, the Curse would do 7 damage to me, for instance. That's nothing that he does.
I fight dirty. I'll give it a shot for Dalaran.
Hellfire is really good here, but I would gain lethal, so it should be fine. Please Argus it. My shield for Argus? He's getting a lot of value out of that curse. Is he? Let's think about this, okay? Would it matter if I had 22 or 30 or 10 health right now? Well, he spent 2 mana to play that on turn 4, right?
Silence! For Dalaran. Give it a shot.
I could have been at 1. Curse didn't do anything. Only tempo mattered. Right. I think these are the best 2. Keep the croc. Oh damn, Curse Rafaam. Well, he lost his second turn to do that. I don't think it's very good. I guess we can just play it now, because anything he plays will just chomp up with the Water Elemental, so... Okay. The Curse wasn't that bad there. Yeah, I did that because, like, almost anything I play is gonna get challenged here by his 3-drop. But the Water Elemental just doesn't give a fuck. He dealt 2 damage, it's not nothing. That's basically nothing. Yeah, it's not too great here, because he's gonna have a 5-drop.
Squire, attend.
Wow, that's quite a 5-drop.
You face death.
I'm not that scared because most things I can flip in BGH that he's going to play on turn 6 onward. Any turn that I BGH, I basically instantly win. Damn. Well, if he has a Mortal Coil or a Dread Infernal here, I'm actually in pretty fucking bad shape.
I hear you got a problem.
Limitless power.
Perfect.
For the crusade!
I'm watching you. You will regret this.
Okay. Good play.
I've got the beast in my sight.
Rewind the BGH. I'll rewind. If he trades into it, then I get it. If he doesn't trade, then I can rewind it later if I need to. Rewinding it first is a bad idea.
Let the pain speak to me.
Something needs tinkering?
Actually, I'd rather just not even kill that.
I fight!
I don't really care about the taps, I only care about the tempo right now. Seriously? Oh wow. Alright. Now we basically threaten lethal no matter what, so we should try to draw. Alright, let's see if he has 6 damage. It's gonna suck if he does. If he actually kills us, like with exact lethal, we would've got Cursor Rafam this game and lost because of it. Oh, okay, that's a good sign. Oh, that's so good. So good, give me that HP. What?! It's a bit weak. My audio quality has been exactly the same for like 2 years. It's not that great, like I don't have like a studio microphone or anything. Okay, well I do, but I'm not using it. Hey. What? Hello! I could hook it up. I could try a stream with it, but in my testing it seemed that it was very, very low. Like far too low to actually be heard properly on stream. And I maxed everything out. I have a mixer. I have what is that shit called? Cloud Lifter.
Buying or selling.
Oh, I use it for YouTube videos. It's not collecting dust. Every YouTube video uses that microphone now.
The light protects me.
Okay. Okay.
Die, landlubber! Here we go.
Oh, fuck me. What happened? Oh, I have a dragon. That's pretty cool. Just a little bit of microphone tuning. You know, a little bit of bonus content. Alright, let me see if I can do this. Oh, it's heavy. Okay. Okay, I got it. Whoa.
What you want?
Well, that doesn't kill it.
Your magic shall not save you. Bring out your dead.
Sure. Yeah, that was a really good play. The sheep buffed the attack of the Undertaker. Oh, I guess you got me. 14 turns to go, bro. Ow.
Give me a quest.
From the void I come. For Blackwing!